everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Lachlan Kidd, and I am the IoT Sales Principal for AWS across Australia and New Zealand. What we've got here for you today is a demonstration we've entitled The Future of Operations. We're going to be showing you how we can get data from an industrial landscape into the cloud to then store it, visualize it, and add value to it. But before we dive into the demonstration, I just want to talk a little bit about how we're seeing the IoT business generally. We're hearing that data is becoming an organisational asset. Dare I say it, data is the new oil. We're also hearing from customers, though, that they've got plenty of data already, that it's scattered throughout the organisation. And in some cases, especially in industrial landscapes, the data is trapped in silos, be it under servers running under people's desks, on the manufacturing floor. And that data might eventually get to IT, but it might take a long time to get there. And also we're starting to hear from customers that we want to see data put to work, that they know that there are insights in that data if only they could get hold of it and have new ways of visualising it and of being able to apply some advanced topics like AI and ML to it. And you might be asking, well, how do the IoT services help with this data journey? So firstly, with some of the services we'll show you today, we can connect to a really wide range of industrial equipment. Secondly, once we've got that data into the cloud, then we can clean it up, get it ready for ingestion into an industrial data lake. And that might mean throwing some of it away, it might mean averaging it out or joining it all together, and then we can ingest it into a industrial data lake. And then finally, once we've got it into the data lake and we've started to run our AI and ML algorithms over the top of it, tight integration between the IoT services and the AI and ML services means that we can then start to push models that we build in the cloud right out to the very edge. So what are the challenges we're hearing from customers? And these aren't all that different from other businesses in other areas, but we're hearing about a drive to build new streams of revenue, to deliver cost reductions. As an example, we did some work with Coca-Cola Isakek, based in Turkey, where by taking one of their cycle times down from 30 seconds to under 10 seconds, we saved them nearly a month of downtime on a per plant basis. We had a 20% reduction in energy usage and a 9% reduction in water. We're also hearing too that there's a metric that we hear in the industrial landscape called OEE, or Overall Equipment Effectiveness, which we'll talk about as we move through the demo. But customers really want to get a better view of their OEE and understand how they can see it not just at a local level, but spread across the whole country or potentially even globally. And the use cases that we're seeing in Australia and in other parts of the world around things like improving process efficiency, like we're just discussing with Coca-Cola, or getting into areas like predictive or preventative maintenance. I'm just going to pause for a second to talk about how we actually get data out of industrial systems. So there are three broad ways we get data out of a system. We can integrate with the existing system and extract the data that way. We can, for older equipment that doesn't necessarily have that ability or isn't instrumented in a way that is accessible, we can actually go through a process of attaching new sensors over the top of it. One of the partners we work with in this space is Urban.io, who have a whole range of sensors they can attach to existing equipment and extract data where it's not possible to integrate directly. And the third way we do it is using computer vision systems, and you'll see that's one of the use cases on the slide here. As another example, a partner we work with locally, BigMate, have a whole range of computer vision solutions, primarily targeting worker safety. So making sure that workers are wearing the right personal protective equipment, or PPE, or understanding that a worker is interacting in an area where there might be some moving equipment, like a forklift, for example, and identifying that that's a potential area of hazard and alerting both the driver of the forklift and the worker that they might be at risk if they're not careful. We touched on OEE visualization earlier, and also we're hearing a lot from customers around digital twin. It means really different things to different people, and we'll show you what our digital twin offering looks like shortly. Now, there's a fair bit going on in this next slide, and so I'll walk you through it step by step. So a lot of what you'll see here today is focusing on this lower layer, and we're not about replacing SCADA systems or existing historians, but we can work alongside those. So by deploying services like our Greengrass or our Sitewise Edge service, we can start to ingest data into the cloud. We send that data via services like IoT Core or Kinesis data streams and get it into the cloud proper. Once we have the data there, then we can really use any of our database services to ingest and store that data, and we can even use purpose-built databases like TimeStream, which is our time series database, to ingest and store time series data. When we get to the top layer of this stack, this is where our customers and our partners really come into play, because this is where they bring domain expertise and knowledge of the specific vertical. So we have partners and customers that build domain-specific applications for mining, for manufacturing, for power and utilities that sit on top of this stack and take that data and analyse and add value to it in ways that we haven't been able to do before. So now I'd like to walk you through what we've got in the demonstration for you today. So we have what we call here the water rig. And this is a training rig that was produced by one of our partners, the Sage Group. And what we've got here is a tank with water that drains out, is pumped through a series of pipes. There's a bunch of equipment on here, which I'll go through in a moment, and it fills the tank up to a certain level. When it gets to about 50% full, it drains the water out and repeats the process again. So what we've got here is we've got a radar sensor, we've got an ultrasonic sensor, we've got a couple of flow meters, a normal flow meter and differential flow here. We've got some valve control and a couple of pressure sensors, mag pressure and Corollas. Underneath, we've got a pump, which is also instrumented as well. And you can probably hear that operating in the background. Now, this is all controlled by a very common piece of industrial equipment called a PLC, or a programmable logic controller. That also supplies some visuals into a HMI, or a human machine interface, that shows this process working. But typically an HMI would live on the factory floor near the equipment. With the PLC, we've got that connected to one of the AWS Snow devices. This is a Snow Cone. It's the smallest one in the Snow family, and it is sometimes used as a storage device, but today we're using this as an industrial gateway. On the Snow Cone, we've got Greengrass running a Sitewise connector. Sitewise is one of our services in the industrial space. We take the data from the PLC via a very common industrial protocol called OPC UA. We could also use protocols like Modbus or a number of other different protocols that we often run into in the industrial environment. Once we've got this data, we can now then move it into the cloud. So what I'd like to show over here is we've taken a lot of the metrics that we saw on the HMI before, and we've pushed them up into the cloud. And for the IT folk who are watching today, this is all produced through a Grafana dashboard. So as you can see, it's updating in real time, or close to real time. So it's very, very timely data, and it's measuring all the metrics that we saw before on the HMI, but displayed in the Grafana dashboard. Now that it's in Grafana, we can watch that on a mobile phone, on a tablet, it could be on a screen in the operations office, it could be on a large monitor actually on the floor itself. So we've democratized and liberated that data, got it away from being in one particular place and can potentially spread it throughout the whole organization. The next view I'd like to show you is from our Sitewise service. So Sitewise is designed for industrial and manufacturing data, and we talked about that metric of OEE before, the overall equipment effectiveness. And what we're showing here is how we can calculate the OEE metric at either a plant level, at a state level, potentially across all of Australia, or even globally. And so this allows people in operations, for example, to understand why are we getting better OEE at one plant or another, or why is another plant not performing at the correct level. So we've got this data here, again, all through common IT tools available to anyone who's got a web browser on a particular device. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you today is our newly launched digital twin maker. So this has just gone into become generally available and is available in the Sydney region. So as you can see from the graphic here, on this side of the digital twin, we've got a simple 2D picture of the equipment we've just been talking through. However, I spin this around, what we've got here is a 3D representation, and these were models that were downloaded from the Siemens website. A lot of the equipment here is Siemens. We've got 3D models downloaded from the Siemens website where we're modelling the actual demonstration rig as we were talking about. So you can see here we've selected one of the pumps down the bottom. On the right-hand side there, we're graphing some of the RPMs of the pump itself. You'll notice one of the flow meters has got a little red X on it, indicating that there's an issue there. What we can do with the digital twin service is have alarm statuses actually logged automatically, and then an operator can come along, indicate what action was taken and that alarm was cleared. We can also attach metadata to this particular piece of equipment. So on the top right here, we've got things like an email address for the operator, perhaps some documentation or training material, and maybe a service history. So, in conclusion, digitising operations for organisations is really a key part of their overall digital transformation. It can unlock silos of data for better decision making across the organisation, getting the right data to the right people on the right device at the right time. And I get often asked, well, how do we start? And my advice here is start small. pick one particular process or even one variable and get that into the cloud and start to analyze it and store it and model it, and then show how we can potentially add value to that data and improve a process for a better outcome. I'd also say don't let perfect get in the way of good. Say start small and get a couple of easy wins on the board to show the value of what it is that's been done. If you want to work with AWS on this, we have a program that we run in Australia called our SCADA Lab program. And it's designed for customers who want to take that first step to get that first lot of industrial data into the cloud services and then start to build out their industrial data lake. Our partners bring domain-specific knowledge and build applications on top of this stack that help dive deep into the problems that are faced by specific industries, be it mining, manufacturing, or power and utilities. So please talk to your account team about AWS and an Industry 4.0 transformation. That's all we've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And please stay around, and next demonstration is coming up in 1 minute. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Future of Customer Experience here at the AWS Summit for Australia New Zealand 2022. My name is Joshua Nathaniels. I'm a retail specialist solution architect as part of our global retail industry team. And today we're going to be exploring a little bit about how AWS technology can be used to transform various aspects of customer experience. We all know how dramatically retail has been impacted during the recent pandemic. Outside of travel and hospitality, retail has been one of the most impacted industries, especially when it comes to customer experience. Retailers have had to contend with things like store closures, restricted trading, social distancing, and the ongoing global supply chain crisis, which have all had a major impact with how customers shop and how retailers need to behave to engage with their customers effectively. Customers are increasingly moving between digital and physical channels and adopting new things like buy online, pick up at curb, contactless trade, and other direct-to-consumer services. For these reasons, it's become increasingly important to be cautious of all parts of the customer journey, from how we initially attract our customers to how we target them, all the way through to post-sales care. AWS provides a broad range of services that can be used to transform the customer experience, and today we're going to be telling you a little bit about how we can use technology at various parts of the retail value chain to create frictionless experiences for your customers. When it comes to physical stores, we're seeing a blurring of the lines between physical and digital. Technologies such as computer vision, augmented reality, and various other smart devices are all becoming very prevalent in physical retail. We're also seeing digital pure play retailers start to invest in physical retail for the first time, usually focusing on bringing technology and creating experience-based stores to create a truly differentiated experience. Today, we want to share with you a few examples, real-world examples that are all deployable that you can use to transform your retail experience. And we'll give you a little bit more information at the end of the session about how you can make use of some of these AWS retail solutions. So in this demonstration, we're going to be looking at these unified experiences through the eyes of both a customer and a retailer. So first of all, let's meet our customer, Lana. Lana is an avid shopper and a busy mum. She likes to shop in her own way, making use of multiple different channels, whether it be online, mobile, in-store, or even making use of things like contactless trade and pickup at store. Acme Retail is your typical large-scale department store that sells a wide range of categories, from furniture to home deco, and even all the way up to grocery-type dry good items. This example, Lana has just placed an online order for some home decor items to decorate her new apartment, and we're going to explore how she wants to pick up some of this order that she's just made. So during the pandemic, contactless trade was probably one of the most essential capabilities for retailers. Retailers have already invested in this type of technology in the past, but the experience is more often clunky, that it's usually harder than actually going into the store and buying the item. In this first example, we're going to see how Lana, through the use of computer vision technology, can now click and collect her order and actually have it delivered directly to her car. This type of technology is in use by other retailers like Amazon Fresh, which is, I guess, pioneering some of this technology, where you can have a truly differentiated experience where groceries can be brought directly to your car without ever having to notify the store that you're actually there. This type of technology is also being explored by other retailers, all looking for removing friction from the customer journey. And this solution that we're about to show you allows you to automate the end-to-end process. First of all, let's explain a little bit about how this solution works. The first part of this is that we leverage Amazon Location Services, which is a fully managed geofencing and location-based service. This allows us to react to our customers' physical location in real time and make decisions and send alerts based on the proximity of customers to the destinations we set. In this example that we're about to show, we can actually send Lana a real-life alert when she crosses the geofence of the store. So here, I'm just going to emulate Lana purchasing a product. You can see here on the screen that we're going to add it to cart. Go to checkout. Make sure that we select pick up at store. And place the order. Now we're going to quickly emulate Lana heading towards the store in her car and see how this journey interacts with the geofence of our store that we set. So you can see we've just received an alert for reminding Lana that her order is ready to be collected. Next up, the next part of this solution is when Lana arrives at the store, we stream a constant video stream from a designated car parking bay into the AWS cloud for processing. And then what we do is we actually use Amazon recognition to pick up the number plate or the text in the number plate and match that to an existing order, which will be used to alert both the in-store staff as well as Lana to make sure that the order can be prepared and brought directly to Lana's car. So why don't we take a little look at how this would work here. So we have an in-store dashboard here, and when the number plate is picked up, when the car arrives in the car parking bay, we can see that the in-store dashboard is immediately updated with some information about Lana, her loyalty status, as well as how long it's been since she arrived. We can dismiss that. Okay. Now that Lana has picked up her order, she remembers that she also wants to enter the store and see how some of the physical items look in the store, just to get a bit of a look and feel. Lana knows that when she goes into the store, she's often greeted with a very personalized experience. The staff always seem to know about her recent orders, and the staff often provide her product recommendations based on what she's been into or looking at recently. She also knows that she can get more information about some of the products from her self-service app. So here we're going to see Lana go into her self-service app in the store. We can see that she's chosen a couple of products, and we often look at providing some additional information like sustainability, the carbon footprint of some of these products, as well as if it's been ethically sourced. These things are all important to Lana's buying decision. Lana's found the product that she wants to see. She can actually scan the QR code here in the store. And she decided that she wants to purchase this item, so she can add it to cart. Check it out. Make sure that she chooses the delivery option because it's not going to fit in her car, let's be honest. Push the place order. Great. So just a great example of how we can enable self-service and personalized recommendations. Now, to provide these recommendations, we're leveraging Amazon Personalized, which is an AI-based recommendation engine based on the same technology from Amazon.com. The next part of this solution is Customer 360. So we want to make sure that we're capturing all of the different interactions from various channels in our business, whether it be the contact center, where customers make the orders, or potentially, we want to understand how Lana likes to shop. So on this page, we've fed various interactions from all of our different channels into a profile. We can see all of the categories that she likes to purchase, as well as the channels that she likes to interact with. The other thing we like to empower our staff with is a list of all of the interactions. So we can see a staff member in the store can see things like when Lana has called up with an issue. So to provide a white glove experience, they can ask her about that issue in the store. Now that Lana has finished her purchase journey, after all of that shopping, she's a little bit thirsty. She wants to grab a refreshment, even though she's in a massive hurry. In this case, she knows that Acme Retail has again removed friction from all parts of the customer journey. In this case, they've actually used technology to again make the grabbing a refreshment a seamless experience leaving the store. So we can see here that Lana can actually auth into this smart cooler experience with her self-service app. She can grab out a product and leave the store really, really easily without ever having to go through a checkout or cart-based experience. You can see here on the left that we've billed Lana for whatever she's taken out of the fridge. And on the right-hand side, you can see a little bit of behind the scenes of how we made this happen. I'm just going to explain that to you now. So in this example, on the physical device, we actually make use of IoT green grass and a series of sensors, as well as a camera, to actually take a series of variables about what inventory and the status is of the fridge. So door sensors and magnetic locks. In this case, we use a series of serverless local Lambda functions to be able to process those variables and actually take an inventory-based photo, send it to a SageMaker machine learning model, and actually determine what Lana has actually taken out of the fridge. So again, just another great example of how we can use technology to make a truly seamless experience. So that wraps up some of the demonstration that we had, just a very brief example of how future of customer experience can be changed through technology. Hopefully you learned a little bit how AWS technology can be used to reinvent your customer journey and how AWS can help retailers. We really want you to continue to invest in your customer experience. The only limit is your imagination. We recommend getting in touch with your AWS account team who can get you in touch with the right experts. And if you see the QR code on the screen, you can actually go to the AWS Solutions landing page where you can learn more about some of the AWS solutions that we have available to you. So a big thank you for your attention and a big shout out to the team who made all of these demonstrations possible. Thank you.